Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So, we're going to do our review on Tarot. We're going to give you some positives, some negatives, and then spoil this movie.
This is a spoiler review. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the movie and then come back and watch the rest of this review. So we're going to get right into it with some positives.
So, they were listening to a true crime podcast, and it was really funny because at first nobody was into it, and then you go down the road a little bit, and they're all like super into it, like listening to like who the killer is and stuff. It was really funny.
That was one of the best parts of the whole movie, honestly. That got a real belly laugh out of me. Lucas in the train station running from the hermit was really well done. Mm-hmm. The way they did the lighting and stuff. We'll talk more about it in a little bit, but probably one of the most anxiety-filled moments of the film was when you have him in the dark trying to run away during the train station scene.
Yeah, it's just like secluded, like there's nobody there, and it's it's pretty good. So the backstory of the astrologist, is good. It would have made a great movie, actually, if we would have just focused on her and her story instead of the present day stuff. I think that would have made a better movie than bringing the present day, the kids that
bringing them into it. This movie's never boring. I can give it that. There was never a part where I was like, man, I'm bored. While it wasn't very good, there was never a part where I was bored.
I wasn't necessarily bored. I was just like, haven't I seen this before?
Irritated.
Yeah.
I'd say irritated is the best way to put it. So those are our positives of this film. We're going to have some more in the spoilers, obviously, but we don't want to spoil them for you. So now we're going to get to our negatives of the film.
So now we're going to get into our negatives. The characters are very stereotypical. You have the smart one. You have the goofball. You have the...
None of them have any depth whatsoever.
There's no depth, and you've seen these guys a million times again. These young kids that do stupid shit and go into basements.
Yeah. Or hide in a box.
Yes.
Over-reliant on jump scares. I counted at least 13 jump scares throughout the film. None got us. Our 12-year-old went with us. Even she didn't got by any of the jump scares.
No.
If you've seen the trailers, you've seen about every jump scare in the film. Nothing original, nothing unique, nothing stood out about them.
Yeah.
And that was something that really bothered me.
So the monsters, I thought didn't look bad. I thought they looked pretty good, but we didn't really get to see them for that long. Like they would show them for like 2 seconds and then cut away. So I feel like we could have used more of the monsters because they kind of did look.
Yeah, some of them, especially the Fool.
Yeah.
I thought the Fool was great. The part with the magician was really good, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit too. But absolutely zero totally on-screen kills throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Everything was off screen, or you see their face, or you see their feet, or nothing is done on screen in the kills department, and that is very, very irritating.
Mm-hmm. It really is, because you know me, and I like gore, and I like blood, and I like to see people get killed.
Mm-hmm.
I get a few can be off screen, but could we get
at least one good?
Yeah, at least one.
Some of the kills were good ideas.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them happen.
It would have been awesome. So it's really overly reliant on horror tropes. It's like I've seen this movie so many times, and it's kind of irritating. Like when
it's almost insulting to horror fans.
It could have been a really great idea, but the execution just wasn't there.
And I do want to say, if you're new to the horror genre, you'll probably like this movie. Chloe, our daughter, she really, really did like this movie a lot.
She gave it a 4 out of 5.
But again, this isn't, to her, it's not a retread. And that's the big thing with us, is there's nothing really new or exciting. Like, it's your typical PG-13 horror movie. And PG-13 horror movies are not always bad. There's some very, very... Megan was PG-13. Poltergeist is PG, which would have been PG-13 if it was released today. One of the scariest movies of all time, The Ring, is a PG-13 horror movie. You don't need blood, guts, and gore, but you gotta have some semblance of originality and some semblance of, treating your fans like they're not completely stupid. In this movie, and again, I know that it's a first-time director, and I know that this is their first time doing this, and hopefully they can learn and they can go on to make great, amazing things. This just was not the start that we were hoping for from them. So those are some of our non-spoiler negatives. Now we're going to get into some of the spoilers. We are going to have some positives and negatives here. If you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. Support horror.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely. Go support horror. Come back and then see if,
you agree or disagree with our spoiler parts of this.
Yeah.
So let's get to the spoilers. So this movie really does take the worst parts of very good movies and puts them together. I felt like this was a bad mix of like Final Destination with some type of teen curse movie like The Bye Bye Man, Friend Request, Unfriended, Truth or Dare.
Yeah.
Like if you mix the worst parts of those movies together, that's what you get with Tarot.
I definitely felt Truth or Dare vibes and Final Destination. I agree with that. There is so they all get their reading done. They're all like hanging out together, and the final outcome is how they all die. So
whatever their final outcome card was,
that's how they end up dying.
Right. So the astrologer put herself in the cards so she could come back and kill anyone that uses her cards, apparently.
Yes.
So a little bit of her backstory. She was an astrologer for a king or a prince or something.
A rich man.
And she kept reading the cards, and the cards told him that his wife and baby would die during childbirth. He didn't want to believe it, kept having to redo them. They never came out right. The wife and the baby died. He said she was a witch, so he killed her daughter. So she killed herself and did a ritual to put herself in the cards and just kept killing people afterwards. Yeah,
so I don't know. It's crazy. The high priestess kills Elise with a ladder. So this is one of the ones that I really would have liked to have seen.
All you see is her face.
Yeah, you just see her face, and then you see some blood splatter on her phone. The final kill. And that's all I got. I would have really liked to have seen that kill. Right. That would have been awesome.
And then you got Lucas. He's running from the hermit in the train station, and he gets hit by a train. Again, it would have been cool to actually see a lot more of this. I think this scene should have been extended a little bit, actually, because I thought this was a very well shot, very well done scene. It was actually kind of scary. But in the end, it was just another letdown once you got to the actual kill part of it. And I get it's PG-13, but this could have been PG-13 and still been the idea, especially behind the astrologer and all that, and the way they played out that flashback, could have easily been R-rated and really, really well done. It could have been PG-13 and really well done. I feel like they took the lazy way out with a lot of the kills in this movie.
Yeah. So Madeline, she was actually killed by the hangman on the bridge. She was hung on the bridge. And I felt like I seen this one coming a mile away.
All these kids do exactly what they're told not to do.
Yeah.
They're literally told, do this and you'll live, and they do the opposite. Every fucking one of them. And it's just what the fuck are we doing here? And again, the hangman, from what you see of him, he looked pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean,
but you see him for 2 seconds and then you're gone.
He did look scary from what you got to see.
Then you have Alma, this old lady that's trying to help him.
Well, because her friends died from the same issue.
Back in London,
yeah,
whenever.
She read all the cards, but she did not read her own, so she was safe from it.
Right.
So she's here to help them now.
The astrologer has obviously been looking for her too, because the astrologer lays the cards out and reads her fortune or reads her demise, I guess, and she ends up getting killed by the 6 swords off screen. You see her fall into frame with 6 swords in her, which would have been cool to see each coming in, and again, could have been done so well and looked so good, but
yeah.
Lazy way out for me.
Paige, she was killed by the magician. She was cut in half. She stupidly got into a box to hide from him. Girl, come on. And she went downstairs. She thought she heard her name being called, and she went down into the basement.
They literally told her, the magician will trick you.
Girl.
Don't listen to the magician.
Girl.
You will get tricked.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, someone's calling my name. Let me go to the basement by myself and
see
what it is.
We were just running together, and then we get separated. Do you think they really went to the basement?
This, again, is a scene that could have been done really well because the people in the crowd
Looks
during
creepy
the scene
as hell.
looked really creepy.
Yeah.
The magician looked creepy. The scene could have been great.
Mm-hmm.
This scene alone gave me really big Dead Silence vibes.
Yeah.
When Mary Shaw is doing the puppet show. Like, that's what this scene gave me, was a lot of that. And, again, it could have been so good, but it looked really shitty when he was cutting her in half, and you didn't get to see anything, and all of a sudden she's
you just
dead.
hear
And
her screams. That's
right.
it.
So the way they kill the astrologer is by reading the cards and telling her, oh, here's your card reading, and now you're going to die. And
here's your outcome.
don't you have to know their birthday in order to read their cards? That's what I thought. Like, they read them all by the astrology sign.
Yeah, you have to know their
They never sent
sign.
her astrology sign for the astronomer. So, like, you just guessed, and she's dead all of a sudden. Like, she gets pulled into hell, and it's like, what? This just doesn't even make any sense.
No. One thing that did look pretty good, Grant, he had, the devil was his card, and he was getting, like, sucked into what looked like hell. And that didn't look bad at all. That looks kind of cool, actually.
I liked the idea.
Yeah, like the way
know.
that it, like, opened up. Yeah, it didn't look bad.
Right. And then here's another thing that really drives me nuts, because Paxton is a great character. I don't know the actor's name, and I apologize. Nothing but respect to him. But he played in the Spider-Man movies as Spider-Man's best friend.
Yeah, he's definitely, like,
the comedic relief.
The comedic part of this, and even Spider-Man, honestly. But.
Well, they tell him, you're going to go in a place with ascending numbers. You're going to be trapped in a box. So he is running and goes in an elevator. And then he dies. But then he didn't die.
He didn't die.
He comes back at the end, and they're
He
like, how'd you
helps
get out of it? And he's like, my roommate opened the elevator.
And so then, so the fool just disappeared, because when the other ones are together, like, the devil doesn't disappear. She's seen the devil. Yeah, it doesn't, it's crazy. I don't know.
I want to repeat this for you guys. He's in an elevator getting attacked by the fool, which the fool's another one that looks good. I like how his face changes real quick.
Yeah.
But again, I wish we could have got more of the visual of him.
And he's like, he's scary, but he does like funny.
And he's bending.
Yeah.
Like he does a full 360 bend of the body, and the bones are cracking.
Walks on top of the.
Yeah, and I thought the fool, again, when it comes to the villains, him and the magician are the ones I would like to see more of. I thought that, if we could have gotten more of their story and seen a little more of them, it could have added to the movie. But like I said, he's getting attacked by him. And it's cool, like the elevator, like the numbers turn into the fool sign.
Yeah.
Like the elevator's lights turn red. Like, great ideas. But then it's just like, oh, my roommate showed up, and the fool was like, you've got me. I'm going to go now. Like, little things like that just, like, they're so insulting. Yeah. Like, throughout the whole movie, none of the other ones do that. But the fool's just like, you win this time, Spider-Man's friend. And it really, really bothered me. So
yeah, it was pretty silly.
Overall, this is my least favorite movie of the year. I'm going to give this a 1.5 out of 5. Very, very, very little redeeming qualities. I think that the idea of this is good. I think that they could make a good movie out of this. I don't think they did it with this one.
No. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. I already said this, but it's like I've seen this movie before in other movies and done well and done better. And I felt like this about Night Swim as well, and I scored them both the same. Like Night Swim, I felt like I've seen this a million times.
At least Night Swim had some emotion to it.
Yeah, but
at least it had a familiar.
Night Swim still had all these horror tropes, and it just like I've seen this movie. Yeah. I've seen this possession movie a million times, and I've seen Tarot a million times.
I would watch Night Swim over this. I would watch Imaginary over this. You name the horror movie this year, I'd watch it over this. And I'm really bummed because my daughter loved it. And it was her first, like, real, genuine, scary movie.
Which is okay. I hope people do love this movie.
And like I said, if you're younger, if you haven't seen this movie done 1,000 times already, you may really enjoy this movie. Mm-hmm. And that's not lip service. That's not me being condescending. I'm not trying to be an asshole. if you haven't seen these tropes done 1,000 times and you haven't seen these characters with different actors done every, 1,000 times, you may go into this movie and genuinely have a very good time like our daughter did.
Absolutely.
She loved it. She gave it a 4 out of 5, had a great time with it.
And that's why we still make horror, and it's okay.
Right.
Because the
younger generation hasn't seen these movies before. So this might be a huge hit with the younger generation.
If they like this movie, hey, that's okay. That's awesome. I'm glad that somebody does.
Right. So like I said, this movie I feel the same way about this as I feel about Night Swim. It had potential to be very, very good.
Yeah.
And if put in the hands of maybe a different director, different screenwriter, could be a very, very good film. But the way that it was executed fell extremely flat for me. So let us know down in the comments, what do you guys think of Tarot? What were your positives? What were your negatives? What's your overall score of the film? Are we way off base? Did you enjoy the film a lot? Are we right on in your eyes? Was this not a film that you enjoyed? We would love to hear from you guys. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps to build our channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are down in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.